everyone, and welcome to Curly and Yarny. I am Milena's puppet, and welcome to a recap video about textile school. So let's get started. Alright, so let's start today's video, in which I'm going to tell you all about my textile school journey. So as my puppet mentioned, today I'm going to talk about the second half of the second semester. So the school break has just started, and now I can tell you all about what I did during the second half of this semester. I have already made a few other videos about this journey. If you've missed them, don't worry, I will link them all in the description down below. And now, since that my puppet has given me such a good introduction, I've decided I'm going to start talking about her and about my knitting machine class. In this class, what we did for at the end of the year, we actually explored many different techniques that could be used in order to create 2D and 3D forms and shapes on a knitting machine. So we would start from a very flat bed knitting machine, and then it would turn out into something that has a lot of volume. We mostly use short row knitting for that, but not only this. And we were then asked to make a puppet, and we were free to do whatever we wanted. And this is when I decided that I would be doing a self-portrait, because I don't believe I can call myself an artist as long as I don't have a self-portrait. So this is how I came to make this. And for me, it was important that this puppet would have what is the most iconic maybe about me, so namely my hair and also my very big smile. So this is how I came around to do this. And now let's jump onto my weaving class. And the second half of the semester was very interesting because we had two different projects. The first one was about Jacquard weaving, and the second one was a personal project in order to explore what we've seen at the beginning of the semester. So let me start with the first project, so the Jacquard weaving. So, before showing you what I did on the Jacquard loom, let me explain you what this loom is. So here's a picture of the loom that I worked on at school. So the biggest difference between this loom and other looms you've seen me weave on so far in class is that this loom has basically no shafts, which means that each heddle is tied up individually. So this allows the loom to create very intricate designs. So basically you could do anything, because each heddle can be lifted or lowered, and it doesn't matter if it's the neighbor heddle is lowered, this other one can be lifted, so they are all independent. So when the Jacquard loom was originally invented, it was designed in order to read punch cards. So the cards would tell the loom which heddles will need to be lifted and which heddle could stay put for each pix. Nowadays, this system has been modernized, and the loom that I used at school was actually computer assisted, which is kind of funny when you think about this, because this Jacquard loom is actually at the basis of computers. So this idea of having a heddle either lifted or not lifted, it's kind of 1 and 0, just like the first coding in computers. I don't know much about the computer coding. All I know is that it came from weaving, and that makes me very proud. So now I work with a computer, which means that I had to work on a file in order to get this the computer working to the design that I wanted. So we created the files using Photoshop, and then we translated the file in something that the computer could read, and the loom computer could read. Then we put that inside of the computer, and this is how I got the loom to work. So once this was done, it was very easy to use. So I would simply have to press on the pedal, through the shuttle, press on the pedal, through the shuttle, while beating, of course. And just like that, the whole design I created would be woven. So the loom that we use in class was actually malfunctioning. It was pretty old and it has since been replaced, so next semester we'll get the chance to weave on 2 brand new Jacquard looms. So please just keep that in mind when you see my design a bit later. So there's some mistakes put in there, but that's just because of some faulty heddles in the loom. This was the first time for me really using Photoshop, and I didn't really understand until I did it how it would actually translate into weaving and how it would look. So I just want you to understand that I'm not super proud of the result of my pieces here, because some of them are kind of ugly. Part of that is that the loom was malfunctioning, but the biggest part is really my designs on Photoshop. But still, even though I'm not super proud, this is really just to test and learn, and I can say that I learned a lot. If I were to do the assignment once again, I would actually prepare better and do different patterns that would be more suitable for this. But let me humbly share the 4 design with you. So I'm going to go very quickly over the first one. It's very underwhelming, so you've seen it, that's it. So for the second one, that one's very interesting because everybody that looks at it actually kind of sees something different in it. So this could be a very good psychiatrist just try to understand your mind with what you see in this. So please let me know down below what you are seeing in my design. What I was trying to do was actually a mountain with a cloud going over it, but I didn't make the right, maybe this was the right side. Anyway, I didn't make the right choices of weave structure, so that it was supposed to be kind of like fading away, but then it just all faded out into a very dark cloud, so we don't really get the point of it, but that was a good learning experience. Then the third one I made is this one here. This is from one side, this is the other side. So we don't see the whole pattern in this very small sample. So this pattern was supposed to be woven over many picks, but then I was only supposed to weave for 4 inches, so I stopped there. This one was supposed to be like silhouettes of women, and they were not all equal, so they would be like all a bit shifted, and they all have a different weave structure inside of their silhouette. So it looks a little bit like they would all be wearing different dresses. I kind of like this one. I think it could actually be pretty if it was done a little bit differently. So if I would be weaving the whole pattern, but also with a functioning loom. So, but this one is a keeper. And then we have the last and not the least, and I hope that you are hungry because that one is tasteful because that's breakfast. And so that's basically eggs and toast, and on the toast we have some jam. The biggest mistake I made with this one is that the background is very similar to the toast itself, so it's very hard to see the toast. So we can only see it if I like put it in the right angle with the right amount of lighting. So I try to move it around enough so that maybe you'll get the chance to really see the toast. But the egg at least we see very well. What we wanted to learn with this one is how to create different colors using 2 different weft colors. So here I use yellow and red, and with that I was able to go from red to orange to yellow, and also some white for the warp. So I believe there is 49 colors or 49 color combinations that are possible with only 2 weft threads, so did exploit them a little bit here. Oh, ben salut ma Jojoune! And now let's talk about the second weaving project that we did. So the second project was actually linked with what we did at the beginning of the semester. So if you've seen my other video, you know that in the first half of the semester we learned about many different techniques such as block weaving, and then for the second project we could do our own work, we could do our own project. The idea behind this was to create a collection. So we actually had to come up with 6 different designs and weave one of them. So myself, I decided to do a collection of cushion covers, so decorative cushion covers. and I had to come up with 6 different propositions of design, and I decided to weave actually the deflected double weave option. I've mentioned in the other video that I really love the technique, and I wanted to explore it a bit more. One thing I was curious about is how it would look if I would have stripes that are different width, and so this is what I worked around for the design. So here are my 3 different cushion covers. So I decided to do 3 of them, and they are only really the top of the cushion. So for the other layer, I would actually just take a commercial fabric and sew them together, because anyway, when they are on a couch, we only see the top cover. They're still connected together because I haven't come around to do the whole sewing, but this is coming up soon, don't worry. And so the work is actually 8-2 cotton. I use it in those 2 different colors. I think it's Seaton and Peach, but I'm not sure. I will write here the actual color names, and all of those yarns are all RESSOURCES yarn. I did some samples before starting the project, and I did try to have the same width as the warp, so a 2 cotton, and I found it a bit boring, so I started to try different fibers, and I really liked it. So for the actual cushions, this is what I used. So the first one I used in the width in the exact same colors, cotton bouclé, so the curly cotton, and this gives the towel a very and this gives the cushion actually a very nice texture. Then for the second cushion, I use cotton chenille or cotton chenaille in the exact same colors again. So that's something that I really appreciate from Maurice Brassard. They have so many different types of fibers, but they get them all in the same colorway, or almost the same colorway, so I can do some mismatch like that in my project, so change different fibers but still get the same color. So yeah, so cotton chenaille, this gives very lovely texture to the cushion. It's very thick. I really like it. I enjoyed it so much that I decided that the third pillow cover will be again in a cotton chenille, but this time I used a different color. So I did stripes, so I used again the 2 same light color, but I also used a yarn that is some dark green, and I like the effect it gives. I think it makes the cushion even more dynamic. So now let's move on to the last and my least favorite class, the dyeing class. So throughout the semester I did not manage to learn to love it, but I still managed to have a little bit of fun and some nice discoveries along the way. So I still want to share with you what we did with this class anyway. So for the first half of the semester, we mostly worked on dyeing natural fibers, and then on the second half we mostly worked on dyeing animal fibers. And at first we did so using natural dyeing, so animal fibers with natural dyeing, and then after that we worked on dyeing animal fibers with acid dyes. Then we did our final project, and we really could do anything we wanted. So bear with me as I explain to you the idea behind my project. So as you know, I have a boyfriend whose name is Kevin. So Kevin's ancestors actually came to Canada from Scotland. So his ancestors are Scottish, which means that they probably had a tartan. So his family did some research, and they actually came out with 2 different options, or 2 different hypotheses of what their ancestors' tartan might have been. So the first theory is that his ancestors was part of the Macbeth clan, and they probably had the same tartan as them, so something very nice and noble. And then the second theory is that they were not noble at all. So his ancestors would have lived right by the frontier between England and Scotland, and they would have been I don't know how to politely say that, but thugs. So there would have been people who robbed travelers, unaware travelers on the road trying to cross from England to Scotland. And considering that most immigrants that came from Scotland to Canada were coming from a poorer background and they were suffering from hunger, I kind of think this theory is the most plausible, even though it is funny to think today that his ancestors are people who would fight a lot. And don't worry, he is super sweet and super nice. He would not even hurt a fly. But this also means that he doesn't have a tartan. My ancestors all came from France, so I also don't have a tartan. And now that we are together, I think that we are a new clan and we should have our own family tartan. So this was my mission for my class. So I wanted to dye 3 colors, so 3 of our favorite colors, and then with that I would design our own family tartan. Color choices that I wanted to make were a forest green for Karen. I don't know why forest green is his favorite color. Then a teal for me, and we both really like golden yellow, and I thought that this golden yellow would bring a lot of light inside of the tartan. So this is what I decided to try to dye, and I did several tests until I came out with the 3 combination of dyes that I was satisfied with. So I was feeling inspired, I liked it, I was like, yeah, dyeing might be my thing after all. And then came the final class, and as some of you might know, in Canada the summers are very short, like very short. And I don't know about all other Canadians here, but myself, when there's the first day of actual warmth and sun, I tend to only want to go outside like a young cow that you let out of the barn for the first time. So on that day I kind of thought that my mind was really into dyeing. Mind you, the dyeing class is like super dark, there's no window, it's super warm too, so not really inspiring, so I didn't really want to be there in the first place. But I still tried to give it my all, but at some very crucial part of the dyeing process I messed up my colors. So for the golden yellow, it's not so bad, this I could work with, but I was supposed to add some black inside of the dark forest and no black inside of the teal, but I ended up putting black in both colors, so now they are almost the same. One's not dark enough and one's way too dark, and I'm gonna try to work my way around this. So after that I was so disappointed with myself. Even though on that day I didn't feel it so much, I still was very excited with the project. So and now I'm gonna have to try to figure out a way to save this. So my teacher said that maybe I could just try to dye the dark forest yarn again with some black, and then I would be able to get a darker color, because if I were to weave those, nobody would actually see the difference. So this is it. Now you know everything about my first year of textile school. So next semester I'm going to have again a weaving class, of course. During that class, what I know so far is that we're going to be working on much bigger looms. So we'll be working on looms that have at least 16 shafts. Also, I believe that we will also be working a bit more with the new Jacquard looms. So this should be very exciting. I'm also going to have another knitting machine class, and I will also have the second and final sewing class, which I am super excited for. So this is it for today's video. Now you know everything about my first year of textile school. Stay tuned, because I'll be making other updates as my second year goes by. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's really a joy for me to be sharing what I'm doing with you guys, and talk to you very soon. Bye bye.